What if some of the longest living people on Earth were simply eating plants most modern people walk past without even noticing? Across remote villages in Asia, the Mediterranean, and parts of Central America, there were communities where people regularly lived into their 90s, hundreds, sometimes even beyond that. And strangely, many of them shared something surprisingly simple. They ate certain plants almost every single day. And now modern science is starting to discover that many of these plants contain compounds linked to lower inflammation, better circulation, sharper memory, healthier blood sugar, stronger immunity, and slower cellular aging. In this video, we're going to explore 7 plants that people in long-living cultures consumed regularly, and why researchers are suddenly paying attention to them now. And trust me, Number 4 may completely change how you think about brain aging. And the final plant was once considered so valuable that ancient healers called it a daily medicine for life itself. So if you enjoy discovering forgotten health wisdom hidden inside ordinary foods, subscribe to the channel, because sometimes the most powerful things for the body are the things the modern world stopped paying attention to. Number 1. Watercress, the forgotten leaf that wakes up your cells. Most people see watercress as decoration, something sitting quietly next to a sandwich or floating inside an expensive salad nobody really remembers eating. But for generations, this peppery green was consumed almost daily in parts of Europe and Asia by people who viewed food very differently from the modern world. They didn't eat just to feel full. They ate to stay alive longer. Watercress grew naturally near clean streams and mineral-rich water. And because it was easy to grow, poor communities often relied on it constantly. Ironically, that may have been one of the healthiest habits they ever developed. Because today, researchers know watercress is incredibly dense in nutrients linked to healthy aging. It contains vitamin K, vitamin C, polyphenols, and natural nitrates that help support blood flow throughout the body. And blood flow matters far more than most people realize. Better circulation means more oxygen reaching the brain, more nutrients reaching the muscles, more support for the heart. Some studies have even linked cruciferous greens like watercress to reduced oxidative stress, the kind of internal damage strongly associated with aging itself. And here's the strange part. Many people spend fortunes trying to increase energy while ignoring one of the most natural ways the body creates it: healthy circulation and lower inflammation. Watercress may not look dramatic, but sometimes healing rarely does. In many traditional cultures, people simply added it to soups, broths, eggs, or ate it fresh with olive oil and herbs. No complicated recipes, no expensive powders, just consistency. And maybe that's one of the biggest lessons hidden inside long-living cultures. The body often changes slowly, quietly, through what we repeatedly give it. Sometimes the smallest leaf in the meal is doing the biggest work inside you. And the next plant on this list is even more surprising, because most people today would call it a weed. Number 2. Purslane, the wild plant modern diets abandoned. If you saw purslane growing through cracks in the sidewalk, you'd probably pull it out and throw it away. And that may be one of the biggest mistakes modern culture has made with food. Because for centuries, people across the Mediterranean, the Middle East, and parts of Asia didn't see purslane as a weed. They saw it as nourishment. In rural villages, families added it to soups, yogurt dishes, salads, and simple cooked meals almost every day, not because it was fashionable, but because it grew naturally everywhere and helped people stay strong during hard seasons. And today, scientists are discovering something remarkable about this humble plant. Purslane happens to be one of the richest plant sources of omega-3 fatty acids in the world. That surprises most people because omega-3 is usually associated with fish. But purslane contains alpha-linolenic acid along with magnesium, potassium, antioxidants, and powerful plant compounds that help fight oxidative stress. In simple terms, it helps protect the body from wearing down too quickly. Some researchers are especially interested in its potential effects on heart health, inflammation, skin aging, and even cognitive function. And considering how deeply inflammation is connected to aging itself, that matters more than ever. But maybe the most fascinating part is this. The people who consumed plants like purslane regularly didn't think in terms of anti-aging. They simply lived in closer relationship with natural food. No labels, no marketing, no superfood trends, just plants growing from the earth, becoming part of daily life. And perhaps that consistency created effects the modern world is only beginning to understand. Purslane also has a slightly lemony, refreshing flavor that works beautifully in salads or lightly sautéed with garlic and olive oil. Some people even blend it into green smoothies. And unlike many expensive health foods, it can grow almost anywhere with very little effort, which creates an uncomfortable question modern nutrition rarely asks. What if some of the most powerful foods for human longevity became invisible precisely because they were too common? Nature often hides extraordinary medicine inside ordinary things people stop respecting. And wait until you see the next plant, because entire communities have relied on it for strength, recovery, and survival for generations. Number 3, moringa, the tree that feeds the entire body. In some parts of India and Africa, moringa was never viewed as a supplement. It was viewed as survival. For generations, families used its leaves in soups, teas, stews, and medicinal preparations because this tree had a reputation for doing something very unusual, helping people stay strong even during times of scarcity. And modern science now understands why. Moringa leaves are extraordinarily dense in nutrients. They contain plant protein, iron, calcium, potassium, vitamin A, vitamin C, and a wide range of antioxidant compounds that help protect cells from damage over time. Some researchers have even compared its nutritional density to combinations of multiple vegetables packed into a single plant. But what makes moringa especially interesting in conversations about longevity is its relationship with inflammation and metabolic health. Because one of the silent patterns often seen in aging is chronic low-grade inflammation, not dramatic illness at first. Just the slow wearing down of the body, lower energy, slower recovery, more stiffness, brain fog, blood sugar instability, and studies suggest moringa may help support healthier inflammatory responses while also helping regulate blood sugar levels in some people. In traditional cultures, this mattered enormously. Because stable energy often determines how people age, not the short bursts created by caffeine or sugar, but the ability to maintain strength consistently across decades. And perhaps that's part of why moringa became deeply respected in so many communities. Not because it created instant results, but because it supported resilience over time. Today, moringa is commonly consumed as a tea powder or fresh leaf. Some people add it to soups or smoothies. Others drink it in the morning for more stable energy throughout the day. And unlike many modern health products, moringa's reputation existed long before advertising ever appeared. That alone says something powerful. The modern world often searches for miracle solutions, while ancient cultures quietly built health through repetition. One nourishing habit, one simple plant, one day at a time. Some plants don't just help people survive, they help people remain resilient in a world constantly draining them. And the next plant on this list may be the most underestimated brain support plant most people have never heard of. Number 4. Gotu kola, the ancient leaf linked to memory and longevity. There's a reason Gotu kola has been called the herb of longevity in parts of Asia for centuries. Not because it gave people superhuman powers, not because it stopped aging completely, but because many people who consumed it regularly seemed to stay mentally sharp emotionally calm, and physically active far later into life than expected. In traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurveda, Gotu kola was deeply respected as a plant connected to the brain, the nervous system, and long-term vitality. Monks often drank it as tea during meditation practices, believing it helped improve clarity, focus, and inner balance. And strangely enough, modern science is beginning to explore many of those same ideas. Researchers are especially interested in compounds inside Gotu kola called triterpenoids, which may help support circulation, cognitive function, and protection against oxidative stress in the brain. And that matters because one of the biggest fears people carry about aging is not simply wrinkles or physical weakness. It's losing mental sharpness, losing memory, losing clarity. The modern world overloads the brain constantly. Notifications, stress, noise, information without rest. But many long-living cultures approached the nervous system differently. They valued calmness as part of health itself. And perhaps that's why plants like Gotu kola became daily rituals instead of emergency medicine. Some studies have even explored its relationship with memory, anxiety reduction, and cognitive performance. While researchers are still learning more, the historical use surrounding this plant is impossible to ignore, especially when similar patterns appear across multiple cultures separated by geography and time. Today, people often drink Gotu kola as tea, take it as an extract, or add fresh leaves to salads and herbal preparations. Its flavor is mild, slightly earthy, almost quiet, which somehow fits the plant perfectly. Because Gotu kola does not represent the frantic energy modern culture chases. It represents steadiness. And maybe one of the real secrets of longevity is not constantly stimulating the body, but learning how to calm it enough to recover. A peaceful nervous system may be one of the most underrated anti-aging tools in the world. And the next plant on this list was once so common in traditional kitchens that people barely thought about it, even though it may have quietly helped the body cleanse and renew itself for generations. Number 5. Dandelion greens. The bitter plant that helps the body clean itself. Most people see dandelions and think of weeds invading a garden. But for generations across Europe, parts of Asia, and rural farming communities, dandelion greens were eaten intentionally, especially after long winters when the body felt sluggish, heavy, and depleted. People didn't have the word detox, but they understood the feeling: low energy, poor digestion, a body that no longer felt light. And somehow, long before modern wellness trends existed, traditional cultures kept turning to bitter plants like dandelion. Today, researchers understand that bitterness in plants is not accidental. Bitter compounds naturally stimulate digestive processes, helping support bile production, liver function, and digestion itself. And that matters more than most people realize, because many problems associated with aging are connected to systems in the body slowing down over time. Digestion slows, elimination slows, recovery slows. The body begins carrying more inflammation, more waste, more metabolic stress. Dandelion greens are rich in antioxidants, polyphenols, potassium, and compounds that researchers are studying for their possible role in supporting liver and metabolic health. Some studies have even explored their relationship with blood sugar regulation and inflammatory balance. But perhaps the deeper lesson is this: traditional cultures often worked with the body instead of constantly overwhelming it. Modern life is filled with excess: too much sugar, too much stimulation, too much processed food, too little pause. And sometimes the body is not asking for more, it's asking for relief. Dandelion greens were commonly eaten, sautéed with garlic, mixed into soups, or consumed as teas. In some villages, families gathered them fresh directly from the earth every spring. Simple rituals, repeated for decades. And maybe that repetition mattered more than perfection ever could, because longevity rarely comes from dramatic actions. It often comes from helping the body remove what slowly weakens it over time. Sometimes healing begins the moment the body finally stops carrying everything it was never meant to hold. And now we're getting close to one of the most fascinating plants on this list, a leaf deeply connected to some of the longest living cultures in the world. Number 6. Shiso, the aromatic leaf that protects from within. In Japan, there's a leaf that appears quietly beside meals almost every day, not as decoration, not as a trend, but as part of life itself. It's called shiso. And for generations, this deeply aromatic plant has been used in Japanese and Korean cuisine not only for flavor, but because people believed it helped protect the body from illness, imbalance, and decline. What makes shiso fascinating is that many of the regions where it has traditionally been consumed are also associated with exceptional longevity, especially Okinawa, one of the most studied longevity regions on Earth. And while no single food creates a long life by itself, researchers are increasingly interested in the compounds found inside plants like shiso, because this leaf contains powerful antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds, including rosmarinic acid and flavonoids that may help protect cells from oxidative stress. And oxidative stress is one of the major invisible forces behind aging. It slowly damages tissues, affects the skin, the brain, the heart, the immune system, little by little. But what's interesting about long-living cultures is that they rarely waited until the body was already struggling. They built protection into everyday life. A leaf in the soup, a tea after meals, a simple ritual repeated thousands of times across decades. That's a completely different relationship with health than the modern world often has. Today, many people only think about the body when something goes wrong, but traditional cultures often nourished the body before the crisis arrived. Shiso also has a unique flavor, slightly minty, herbal, fresh, almost alive. In Japan, it's used in teas, rice dishes, wraps, pickled vegetables, and soups. Some people even grow it at home because it thrives easily in warm weather. And maybe that simplicity is part of the lesson. Longevity is rarely hidden in one dramatic breakthrough. Sometimes it's hidden inside tiny daily habits that quietly reduce damage year after year. The people who lived the longest often weren't obsessed with fighting aging. They were simply living in ways that protected life continuously. And the final plant on this list may be the most powerful example of that idea. Because ancient cultures once believed this leaf could help people age slower from the inside out. Number 7. Mulberry leaves, the leaf ancient villages trusted for a longer life, long before people talked about blood sugar, inflammation, or metabolic aging. Many communities across Asia were already drinking mulberry leaf tea every single day, not as a trend, as part of life. In parts of China, Korea, and Japan, especially among older generations, mulberry leaves became deeply connected to vitality and healthy aging. And now researchers are discovering that this simple daily habit may have been incredibly powerful. Mulberry leaves contain a compound called DNJ, which scientists study because it may help slow the absorption of sugar in the body. That matters because unstable blood sugar is now considered one of the major hidden drivers of aging. Energy crashes, inflammation, weight gain, metabolic stress. All of these slowly wear the body down over time. And perhaps traditional cultures noticed this long before science explained it. People who consumed mulberry leaf tea regularly often seemed to maintain steadier energy and healthier aging patterns deep into old age. The leaves are also rich in antioxidants linked to heart and cellular health, helping protect the body from oxidative stress, one of the major forces behind aging itself. But maybe the most fascinating part is how simple the ritual was. No extreme diets, no expensive products, just leaves steeped in hot water, repeated for decades. And perhaps that's the real lesson hidden inside long-living cultures. Longevity was never built through one miracle cure. It was built quietly, through small daily acts of nourishment repeated across a lifetime. When you look at these 7 plants together, something fascinating begins to appear. None of them were originally marketed as superfoods. Most were humble, common, affordable, sometimes even ignored. But the people who lived the longest often shared one powerful habit. They stayed connected to simple, natural foods consistently for decades. Not perfectly, not obsessively, just consistently. And maybe that's what the modern world keeps forgetting. Health is rarely built in dramatic moments. It's built quietly, through the small things we repeat every day. A tea, a leaf, a bowl of soup, a plant growing near the home. Things that seem insignificant until years pass and their effects begin to compound. So tell me in the comments, which of these plants surprised you the most? And have you ever tried any of them before? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and join the channel for more forgotten foods, ancient health wisdom, and science-backed longevity secrets the modern world nearly left behind. And if you think these plants were powerful, wait until you discover the food some centenarians ate every single morning.